Welcome everyone to the February 26th Finance Subcommittee meeting. We have several distinguished department heads today, so I guess we have to go by the way it's all sitting on the agenda, so I don't make any enemies. First, I'd make a motion that we accept the minutes of our prior meeting of January 22nd to 14th. We have a motion, a second, on the prior minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. 2-0. Mayor's communication.
Actually, the only thing that I really wanted to bounce off you was, as finance subcommittee, is I didn't know if it would be helpful to have the department heads here at the subcommittee meetings when, they have something on the agenda. Now, I know in the past we haven't done that, but I had actually, as Rick said, she went online.
I mean, my feeling is always if they're available, absolutely, I like to have them here because that's easy. A lot of times we're going to get a lot of the questions out of the way before the full council. I know
you're
right. But certainly, if their schedule doesn't allow, I have no problem either with them sending a designate or yourself covering it for them.
Right.
But I mean, anytime they're available, again, I wouldn't cancel.
I don't mind being their designee,
right.
And between.
And I think it's all the issue too, Mayor. I mean, if there's certain, the higher expense items.
I obviously know the items on the,
Right.
The transfers.
Right.
They're prepared in my office, but in the meantime, I didn't know if that would be helpful. So.
Do you have anything for the Mayor? I just have one. If you have anything.
Sure.
Mayor, I just had one, and I don't. This isn't necessarily a finance matter, but as long as I have you here, I noticed lately, and I don't know how we can do this. This is more of throwing it out for all of us to work on. Is several of the past meetings, like I know I sit on CPA. I went to a conservation meeting. I think the last subcommittee meeting, someone locks the door here. And people...
Well, that's news because Nancy and I have been working on no one locking the door.
No, that's why I said it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
and
it is.
The other night I was going to a conservation meeting and I was a little bit late, so I came in, this door was locked, but I had a key, so as I'm opening it, I hear a voice yelling to me, "Excuse me,
Right.
Can I get in?" I said, "Well, where are you headed?" Conservation meeting." And I said, "Well, yeah, sure, I'll let you in." She said, and I said, "There's probably, the round back door is probably open." She said, "Well, I didn't even know there was another," who was just a citizen. "I didn't know there was even another entrance to the building." So, or if they're not going to unlock that, maybe
Right.
the department, the chairs of the committees can put a sign saying "Enter by the back door" or something.
Right. Well, we've been having a problem with this. So I think because we've been having a problem with not being locked, now they're all locked. So and actually Barbara sent a scan out to, all the city clerks. And believe it or not, this is a huge problem everywhere. I thought, come on. So she thought, is anyone having this problem? They're like, yes, every single, community is having the same problem.
Right.
So that's why now you're finding the problem that we locked out.
Yeah.
So we're thinking along different lines of, just trying different things, maybe putting a list on the door. How you'll see a little note, "Don't shut the door because school committee or finance subcommittee," maybe listing the meetings that are here tonight so that when somebody's leaving, say you're leaving at 6:30 or you're leaving at 7 and there's actually a 7 o'clock meeting somewhere else, you're not locking them out. So we're working on it.
I was just throwing it out for...
Thank you.
Well,
go ahead, Melissa.
We're open to suggestions.
If you're going to have a list like that, they need to say when they're done, because...
Yes,
Right.
it can't be open-ended either, right?
Right, so okay, there's a meeting, so I'm not going to lock
11
the
o'clock,
door.
Like last man out or, I know.
Like who's done and who's not.
No, I understand what you're... It's not an easy solution.
But I think
Yeah.
that's why that happened,
That's
because
the
the opposite has been
problem,
happening.
Right, it's been...
Because now, because we were trying to make sure that
Yes.
the building's locked. I went out one night and I wasn't sure if anyone else was still in the building. I mean, we were late because we had a meeting, but
Right.
so I did lock the door.
It's sometimes hard because I know also they have a housing class at some point and that meets kind of later, and I know one night we were leaving and we thought it was late and we were locked
Right.
up and somebody came in and said, "Oh, I got a class upstairs," but I don't know if they were on a break either or they were
Yeah.
heading back in. Anyway, just food for
We're open
thought.
to suggestions.
Certainly to have a list of starting times posted on the exit doors would be helpful to people, at least to get a sense, and then you
Start.
know as you're leaving.
Right, kinda look
oh,
around the
somebody's
park.
having an 8 o'clock
Right.
meeting or something. That's unusual, okay. Maybe we ought to leave the door open.
You would think this would be very simple, you would think
Yes,
that...
you'd think it would be
just to
very
let you know,
simple.
it's not been simple.
No.
But any suggestions, we're open. You can,
Okay, I'll ponder them.
yeah.
Maybe we could have the fire chief come over and...
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. What I have been doing, and you're laughing, but it's the same thing. I've been having the police go by at 9 o'clock.
At least check it or something.
Yes, because I need to make sure that we're secure.
Right.
So maybe I'll tell them 10 o'clock. But they have been doing that. But we have been working on lights off and buildings locked. So.
Thank you, appreciate it. Public speak, anyone here that wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda? New business. Our first item is $15,000 interdepartmental transfer for anticipated shortfall for mediation and arbitration. Lisa, I guess that's your,
I had originally budgeted $10,000 for a negotiator and for professional services. I had requested $15,000. And because we were going through negotiations with the fire department and mediation and arbitration and all kinds of things, it really consumed both of those budgets. So that's why I'm here. I need to replenish it to get me through the end of this fiscal year.
so you originally were appropriated $10,000?
$10,000 in the negotiator budget, and I only have like $1,800 left in there.
Okay,
And then for professional services, I requested $15,000, but $12,000 of that goes to Metatrol. So the rest of it was all I had for Labor Council.
and will this be used for ongoing?
Yeah, and now that we have settled the contract for fire, we're going to begin negotiations again with them. Plus, we're starting negotiations in both DPW units.
And we're in police.
And police were in also.
And
school just-
teachers.
Well, you have your own negotiator.
Right, but
Do you anticipate, I know this is a hard thing, I know this last one with the fire department, I guess you can't anticipate until you get into negotiations.
Right,
Kind of open-ended question.
The one that we had for...
I was hoping maybe with a new view to things, maybe
Oh.
things might go a little smoother.
We are trying that.
Yeah, we are. But for the arbitrator, I got a bill for $4,993, so I wasn't anticipating anything quite that high. And then the same for the negotiator, due to all of the things that were going on with those, it was $7,860.
Okay.
So I got hit really hard in both of those areas.
Councilor Kwasinski.
Just trying to understand the numbers. Originally, you had $15,000 budgeted.
In professional
in
services.
professionals, with 10 for the negotiator.
That's a
Or
whole-
10 separate for the
It's a
negotiator.
separate
budget.
$25,000 total, okay.
Right.
The way I see it, you say you had 1,800 left from the negotiation account.
In the negotiator, yeah.
The negotiation account. Of the 15, you had $12,000 committed for
Metatrol.
I had-
Metatrol. What,
Yeah.
that term I haven't heard before.
Metatrol, they take care of our 111F
injured on
problems.
duty.
Yeah,
What?
Injured on duty.
yeah, injured on duty.
Injured on duty.
For police and fire.
Police and fire.
And the
And-
service that they perform is,
Once a month, I get a bill from them for $1,000. And what they do
refresh me,
is-
please.
It's okay. What they will do is, we're going through something right now in regard to someone in the fire department who we're filling out retirement, involuntary retirement paperwork for. And they actually do all of that for us.
They do all the work regarding the injured employee and
Right.
processing. Okay.
Mhm.
$12,000. That left $3,000 in that account.
Right.
Okay. So 3,000 plus 3,800. $1,800 leaves you about $4,800 somewhere to deal with all your negotiating needs for the remainder
Right.
of this fiscal year.
Right.
You're asking for another 10, that gets you to,
Very good.
14,800.
Right.
Okay. And that will cover any other professional services that might crop up and
Hopefully.
We're
Yeah.
hoping-
and arbitration.
Hopefully.
Arbitration is over.
Yeah.
No,
The
not arbitration, I
was
apologize.
last December.
Negotiations
Right.
Right.
that you're starting into with multiple unions.
We're already involved in.
Involved in
Like in
multiple
police, we've just
unions.
been,
Yeah.
meeting with our labor attorneys this week. So these negotiations is ongoing now. We're entered into it now. Because they're almost 2 years out of contract.
In previous years, I had thought we had gone upwards of, was it true, 40,000 at one time, 45?
We've had some very costly years in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this year, it would look like something like 25. if-
Well, we've been in negotiations for 3 years trying to get through this. This
Right.
was the year that we got hit the hardest because this is when the decision came down.
Right.
But I've had expenses all along in those years
Sure.
for labor council.
But I see this as a progressive movement downward, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, we won't have anyone 3 years out of contract.
Right,
Right.
right.
So just as
Those are
a,
I just wanted to understand the numbers, thank you.
just as a clarification, so you want 10,000 more for professional service, which will give you about 13,000 in that account? And then another 5,000, which would give you 6,800 approximately. Do I have it right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't have any more questions. Do you?
I don't have any other questions.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we ask the full city council approve the following request for $15,000 to be transferred from the reserve fund to $10,000 for professional services and $5,000 for $10,000 for personnel professional services and $5,000 for negotiation personal services.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Reese. Moving on to the fire department. This is an interdepartmental transfer of $4,800 from the reserve fund for fire vehicle repairs. Apparently we have problems with engine 1, engine 2, and ladder 1.
Yes, we do.
Chief Mater.
Every year, we're required to get the pumps flow tested to make sure, A, that
It
they
doesn't
work,
work, ladder 1.
and that they flow the amount of water they're rated to. This year, the 2 engines, which are the 2 oldest in the fleet, both failed their pump test. They weren't able to hold back. So if we were to have pull water out of the pond or a river somewhere, right now, both the engines would have a very difficult time doing that. They both need some valves repaired because they're not vacuum tight. The ladder had a problem. A check engine light came on, and because everything on that is computerized, they spent the truck was out of service for about a week diagnosing it, and about a $2,500 estimate to replace a couple sensors and a couple of emissions parts on the vehicle. So right now, out of 3 vehicles that we have that are capable of putting out fires, none of them are 100% service.
On the pump, if, say you were to drop it in the pond now, do you get some flow? It's just you don't get maximum flow, or? I mean,
Right now, if we had to pull water out of what they call a static source, like the pond or a river, engine 1, engine 2, which is the oldest, was in 1995. It'd be hard pressed to probably get water out of it because it's got so many vacuum leaks. Engine 1 would be able to pull it out, but it can't hold it. So if they stopped, say somebody shut the hose down on the other end, the water would probably drain out back into, like a straw would drain out into a glass. So it would be hard pressed to keep the vacuum, to keep the water coming up on its own.
And what would be the timetable of repair?
The company that does our pump work, as soon as we give them the go-ahead, they're going to take one at a time, bring them down. Their plant is in North Attleboro, I believe is where it's at. And it's about a day and a half turnaround on both trucks.
So you don't send them all at once? Counselor Kwasinski, any questions?
Just thinking about the protection for our city and thinking that we're hoping that the hydrant system, the water flow is pressurized, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
How much do you anticipate this kind of problem? Are there other problems over the horizon that you foresee that you care to mention today?
I'd let that-
We don't have enough time to deal with
I think I'm
today.
off the mayor's Christmas
Yeah.
card. Really.
My George.
The problem is right now we're paying for deferring maintenance. We've been putting Band-Aids on the fleet for the last 5 or 6 years. Been rolling the dice, and for 4 out of my 5 years as chief, I've been coming up with 7s. I rolled snake eyes this year. Everything. Engine 2 is in 1995.
Mhm.
It was the first truck out for 8 years. It's had a hard life. About 6 years ago, it should have had the pump completely rebuilt to the tune of about $10,000. There wasn't money then, just like there isn't money now to do that. So this is another Band-Aid, albeit an expensive Band-Aid. It's the cheaper resolution. The truck is scheduled in next year's capital. I requested a $225,000 refurbishment of that truck in lieu of $500,000 to buy a new one. But we're in the same boat. It's the right fix, but money's going to be an issue.
Mhm. Thank you.
Just back to the ladder, you said emissions, what else was wrong with it?
There's some sensors. It all has to do with the fuel system and the exhaust system. That truck was one of the first generation that had the new diesel emission standards.
Mhm.
And after so many hours of running, it does what's called the regeneration, where it burns all the bad stuff out. Well, it's not doing that, so it's impacting the horsepower rating of the truck right now.
And what year, how was that?
That's a 2008.
Anything else?
Make a motion.
You want me to make it? I'll make, why don't I make it? I'll make the following motion that we approve the following appropriations, send it to the full council amount, $4,800, and it comes from the reserve fund in that amount, and is sent to fire vehicle repair.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
2-0. Thank you, Chief. Well, one question not on this. Fire hydrants. I know there's been some comments about, given the amount of snow this year, and I think I know I unfortunately have a fire hydrant on my property, so I'm out there getting it. Do we periodically check them? I mean, if somebody, I know there's a lot of fire hydrants. It's kind of, to me, I always looked at it like a sidewalk. It's kind of like the homeowner's, at least, responsibility, but
I know water department was out, because I know they're out in the plains when they had the, I believe it was a contractor with the bobcats and the snow blowers. As they came across some of them that were buried, they were opening them up. And usually the water department, whenever we get snow like this, they'll go through. and
they'll try.
them out.
Okay, I just was curious, because people have kind of asked me. Thank you. Moving on. I think we're going to leave salaries and stipends alone. I think that's a discussion we have to have when Councilor Rist is here of what type of documentation we want to get. I assume it will be from other cities and towns. See what we get comparison. So we'll leave that for continue that to the next meeting.
That makes sense.
The final item is the discussion of school department request for submission of the MSBA for school business. Oh, excuse me, Superintendent, before you get, and you could, Mayor, if you could tell Risa, I will ask for public hearings on the negotiator at the next meeting, so the actual public hearing will be at the second meeting in March, and the same with you, Chief, that I'll ask for the public hearing at the next city council meeting, I believe is the 5th, and then the actual hearing would be on the 19th. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Superintendent. If you want to just give us another update.
A little update. So the SOI, the Statement of Interest from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, is simply a document that we need to submit in order to even apply, send in an application. It does not commit the school department or the city or the MSBA to any kind of funding at all. And I think you did do that vote for Whitebrook, much appreciated. And and the last part of the vote does say that it doesn't commit the city or the school department to anything, nor the MSBA. So I'm asking for your approval, a vote to approve the allowing me to submit statements of interest for the 3 elementary schools. And this is just the process, as they say on their website. It's a critical first step in the MSBA's program for school building construction, addition, renovation, and repair grants. The SOI allows districts to inform us about deficiencies that may exist in a local school facility and how those deficiencies inhibit the delivery of the district's educational program. So really it is an informative piece for the MSBA. So I'm seeking your approval of that submission.
Do you have any questions?
Seems pretty straightforward. I think we've talked about it. You brought it to us, and then we split it up and did one.
Yes.
So I think all my questions were answered in the previous meetings.
Okay, do you have a problem approving it tonight? Or? Okay. I'll make a motion that we ask the full council to approve the MSB, I guess we would call them statements of interest with the MSB for Center, Maple, and Pepin. And I believe they all have to be done separately, so someone's going to have to read all these motions
Yes.
separately.
Yes, exactly.
I think I know what it
Yeah.
is. I'll make a motion that we do that. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Very well. That will probably be on the agenda, not on the agenda for this coming Wednesday, the 5th, but that will also be on the agenda for the 19th. Because I think, if I recall, it's a mid-April date, like April 11th, 14th.
Yeah, 11th. No, I think.
11th, yeah, okay. So we will probably do it at the second meeting in March, which would be the, as I said, I think it's 5th, 12th, so 19th.
That would be in plenty of time.
Okay.
Was there some specific language that you
Yes.
needed?
Yes.
Is that-
Is that same language that we had?
It is that same
Okay.
language, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I think Sue Colby gave you a copy of the language for
Right,
each of them.
right, and I think
But
this is,
if you don't have it.
right, and I'll check with Barbara if Barb's not back. We'll make sure we have the proper language.
Yes, because it has to be the proper
I
language.
hear you.
Or they won't accept it.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda unless there's something else, Counselor. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn?
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.